Greetings, humans. I'm Andy.
I'm Adrienne.
And welcome back to the Windmill full of courses. Hi, Adrienne. It's great to have you here. How are you doing?
I am awake. I got my coffee in the old Spinch cup.
Yeah, I love those.
And I'm happy to be here. Glad to be on your channel like this.
I'm glad to have you here. This is probably the most important video I've done thus far.
I don't know about that, but I'm glad to be part of it.
Yeah. Okay, so first things first, obviously, your new album, Gods of Debauchery, was released just 6 days ago. How did it land? How are you feeling after the release? How are people taking it? How are the vibes given this magnanimous event?
I think it landed well. I honestly haven't been reading too many comments. And I've only been reading good reviews. Like if it's anything less than an 8, I don't want to read it. Because that means I failed. Stupid. But most importantly, we had a couple of listening parties with sort of diehard fans, and then also staying up all night with you guys in the Patreon chat until it came out in your time zones. That was really fulfilling, and that was all I really needed to know, that my work had been successful, just to see people's reactions, the reactions of people that I actually care about. Not that I don't care about the other people, but it's like, you guys are already here to support us, and you guys have been here since a long time. And if the album touches you in a certain way, then I'm happy. If you guys like it, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
I don't care about winning everybody, you know?
No, personally, I absolutely love it. I would say touches is an understatement, more like completely floored me. Then let's get into the composition. So it's like the longest and in all possible ways the biggest album you've put out. And I just got to ask, like, compared to the previous two, is there anything you approached differently when you started writing this album? Because it feels like a completely different thing. It feels connected to the same universe, but it's like, it's bigger, it's better, it's more epic, it's more cohesive. So what was your thought process walking into writing this album?
I mean, the biggest difference is that we wrote it almost all of it in one long chunk. So Jack and I like sat down for like 6 months and just every single day, wake up, have coffee, write music, maybe work out, maybe eat something if we remember to, write some more music, go to bed. And previously with an album like Emerald Seas or Solvay, we were, busy with life. We were either still at university, or, I mean, you know how that like eats every hour of the day. So like we would have to write maybe on the weekends if we were lucky, but then also we might be playing a show. So like we would only get to write like a song or two here and there. So yeah, I don't know. The whole thing was just, I think it came out more cohesive because it was all in one sitting, but I also think it came out more varied because we had literally all the time in the world to just do tons of research and like tons of listening. And like, I spent like an hour and a half on the stupid treadmill every day. So I was like on YouTube watching like orchestration tips and stuff, like just trying to brush up on my craft and like find new cool things to do. So yeah, I think, the time aspect was the most different.
Yeah. And I guess speaking of cohesiveness, like the fact that you could wake up and start writing probably with the last pieces that were written still in mind gave more continuity to the process as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was really nice to be able to just live and breathe the album.
I also relate to what you're saying about the others, like being written on a run. Ever since I started the Windmill, I'm editing half of my videos after midnight. So
yeah.
That's life. So you mentioned orchestrations. I really want to get into the orchestrations because I love them. So it's like Solveig has a certain level of orchestrations, and then Emerald Seas had another level of orchestrations, but this is like just the orchestral score on its own is like a thing. And I'm obsessing over those a lot. So what's your approach when writing orchestrations, and what are you actually trying to achieve with them? Because I for me, it feels like it's the element in the album that actually brings most images to my head. So it's definitely kind of connected to the story and such. So how are you approaching orchestrations?
I like to think of orchestrations as, so if the band, everything that the core band does, if that's the line work, then the orchestration is the shading and the coloring. So I like I like to fully flesh out every intention emotionally that I had with whatever song it is through orchestration. And sometimes that means like the Dark Lord is here, so we orchestrate it like, I don't know, like a sci-fi trailer intro. For example, in Gods Amongst Men, you have this like big, this big like looming thing.
Borg, you're on a spaceship.
Yeah, basically. So, I mean, obviously, like that scene is not set on a spaceship, but it is like something very big and very dark is going to happen. And it's exciting. And I want you to know, like, be curious about like I want you to be curious about like what the fuck is about to happen is what I was going to say. Also, there's a orchestration only version of Gateways. I'm sure you're familiar with this.
I actually didn't know.
Oh shit. Okay. Definitely check this out. It might be up your alley. But they released this, and it's, I just remember like a few years ago laying in the guest room at Sasha's place, and like in between like Avantasia dates, just like listening to that and being like, holy shit, amazing, I gotta do this. So that, I was definitely super inspired by extreme metal orchestrations and cinematic atmospheres. That was a long answer, sorry.
No, I like long answers. I like the rambling. I do it myself if I'm not too nervous, so that's great. Okay, so about orchestrations, I want to tell you what my favorite moment kind of in the album is. I mentioned it in the review as well. I don't know if you've seen it in Ghost of Yesterday, when the bridge hits and there's the screaming part and there's this like running theme in the orchestrals. When I first heard that, I think my brain suddenly got transported over there and not in one piece. So that one's really cool. And the orchestral song, of course, through Lifetimes, is that one actually has themes for all three albums through it, right?
Yes, because it goes throughout the lifetimes of the characters.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay.
That's why it's called Through Lifetimes.
You know, it's pieces that I should have put together, but I didn't.
It's okay. It's only been out 6 days.
For me, it's been out longer.
Okay. Still.
Yeah.
I'll cut you some slack this time.
Okay. So I mentioned orchestrations being linked to story. So how much are you feeling comfortable to reveal about what's the actual story of the album? Because I don't know it yet, and I have a few theories, but I want to see how much of it is accurate and how much of it isn't.
Let me pull up the document, because it's a little hard to think of it off the bat. So you're familiar with the concept of like the Soul Keeper, sort of a Reaper or like a Davy Jones type of character.
Yes.
There has to be someone who ferries the souls where they need to go, whether that's up or down. And Solveig inherited this from the Kraken, who was the Soul Keeper before her. But obviously the Kraken was beached because the blah, 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 with the events of Emerald Seas. With these soul-keeping powers, she was able to create like all kinds of shit. Basically, she made the Cabaret of Dreams, repaired the ship, and did the whole thing in the little like pocket demi-plane in the events of Solveig, the album. After she incinerated that, she was like, fuck yeah, I can finally die. I'm so tired. I finally got what I wanted, and I was bad, and now I am sorry, and I'm gonna be dead because I can't do this anymore, and I'm tired, period. So, you know, in Solveig, how Solveig, as the demon, offers whatever offers whatever the lost soul did not achieve in life, some sort of like shitty version of happiness, basically.
Any deepest dark desire.
Exactly. Yeah. So at the end of Emerald Seas, you have this the trouble with eternal life, and it's basically her saying like, I will find you again somehow. I don't know how, I don't know when, because I'm stuck here, but I will.
Yeah.
So the lost soul in Solveig that shows up, that she picks up, that we follow the story of, is that person. So finally, she's completed her unfinished business and is able to escape basically her own prison, which is the Cabaret of Dreams. Okay, we summon the sunlight, it's incinerated. Now we wake up in Wanderer's Prayer. Wanderer's Prayer is basically like Solveig is sent back into the world of the living because there must always be a soul keeper. Otherwise, the souls they're unable to go where they need to go. They need someone to ferry them to wherever, up or down. And she's pissed. She's like, I thought I was done. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be alive. I don't deserve to be happy because of all those souls that I like tricked and like fed on. I don't deserve this. I hate it. This is like some kind of joke. And basically, we have this choice. You can either be alone forever and also save the soul of your cursed muse by saying as far away as possible, and also resign yourself to an eternity of ferrying souls.
So basically, go back to what happened when Emerald Seas ended.
Yeah, exactly. Or we can try to balance the demon within with also the child within. So we have like the two versions of oneself from Emerald Seas and from Solveig. This is really hard. We don't want to do this. Fuck that. So we fall back on our old ways, and we there's a lot of introspection and reflection and self-loathing at the first half of the album. Lightbringer, for example, going through like port by port, just finding a new crew to feed on, basically. Yeah, I'm sure you can pick up on that sort of thing. Echoes of Eternity, like maybe there's one specifically, in typical like vampire mythology, there's always like some human that's like, oh, please turn me. And the vampire's like, all right, yeah, well, you got to do whatever I say first, and then I'll turn you. So that's like another situation kind of.
And then actually when I turn you, it turns out that it sucks.
Big bad. Yeah. So there's a lot of self-loathing, a lot of back on my bullshit stuff. And then in Shadow on an Endless Sea, we're out at sea, and there's a big fucking storm. Similar to Serenity in Solveig, where we have a big storm, and it's kind of like a brain awakening of like, oh my God, I did this to myself. Everything that's bad, it's my fault, and I did it. And then there's like this, just like you have to fall apart completely before you can realize like, all right, I'm the only one who can put this back together. Yeah. I need to make sure that I do it right. And like her dad, the ghost of her dad is there like, it's gonna be okay. You can do it. And she's like, I can't hear you because you're not here. And I can't hear you. That's the story kind of. Eventually she gets her shit together. It's really hard. She finds the lost soul from the previous two albums, and they're like, all right, here's all the memories that you're missing, all the things that you're like writing songs about. This is what it is. And that person's like, oh my God. So that would be The Unforgotten Name. All those feelings of like, now I know why I've been heartbroken for my whole life.
Yeah.
That thing that was missing, because of course at the end of Ashes in Solveig, this character wakes up with no memory of like the cabaret, but just knows that something happened and it hurt really badly. And they've gone on and done their life with this strange emptiness. So they eventually kind of figure it out, and Solveig's like, hey, so I got to do this job forever. But I know you like to do what you do. I could do the thing, and you could do it, and we could be God's Monks Men. Thoughts? And so the Easter egg is in God's Monks Men. I mean, like there's only one Easter egg. In Gods Amongst Men, we have this Sequere is Obscuritate. I can't really remember off the top of my head.
I love that part.
So, yeah. Okay. So it translates to follow me into darkness. So it's like the same thing that happened in Emerald Seas, except it's like, all right, I know we've done this before, but like here I am in all of my ugly glory. Like no more lies, no more masks. Like this is what it is. I can't lie to you. Like it's fucked up. Here it is. And so I think like representing that by like reiterating the same idea of like follow me into darkness, but in a way that's like more screams and stuff than like charming and clean vocals and stuff like that. I feel like I've been talking a lot, but
it's like instead of putting on a face that's gonna make you want me, I'm gonna actually tell you who I am, and like you get to take your pick.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And eventually I like to think that you know, they Solveig does the soul keeping job well for a pretty long time and is eventually relieved of the duty and is allowed to live out some golden mortal years with this other character, and they finally achieve true death and they don't have to do anything anymore, and it's just like a happy ending, and everybody like was that's the story.
From story we get to actual lyrics, so your lyric writing is absolutely phenomenal. And it's because, you know, lyrics, they sound good, like you make them sound good, but it's also, I think, very descriptive, like almost hands-on of certain emotions, like the in Shadow on an Endless Sea, this part with unworthy, ungrateful, I'm filthy, regretful, like it's kind of this disgust in there, and this and I don't know, how do you aim to write the lyrics to like give this very tangible feel of what the character is actually feeling and what they're experiencing?
It's a little bit of a mix of like songwriting technical techniques and then also just being like in touch with my feelings in the moment while I'm writing. So for something like that, a song like Shadow on an Endless Sea, Good Morning, you spend a lot of time in the verses, like it's looser, it's kind of like full of dread, we're lost, and it's like the emotional like excitement level is pretty low.
Yeah,
excitement's not the right word because it sounds positive, but I mean like the like if we're like about to have a panic attack and versus like we're about to fall asleep, the verse hangs out like here, and then like we get to the chorus and it's like the excitement levels like here, because you know it really sucks to feel like when did my passion die, and it's my fault again, fuck's sake. But then when we get to the bridge, like I know that when I feel like shit, I start blaming myself, and this like the idea of like the brain short circuiting and like spiraling, I definitely get the thing where it's like I get stuck on one thought and I just go it over and over and over again. So when you have like, how can you do that lyrically? You're not gonna like repeat the same word over again. But this idea of like unworthy, ungrateful, I'm dirty, regretful, unfit for everything I built. So that's how I could think to kind of symbolize the feeling of spiraling.
We've talked a lot about the creative process. So how about recording? What was it like for you recording this monster? Was it challenging, first of all?
Yeah, it was super challenging and it took forever. I think it probably took us like 6 weeks. It was only supposed to be 2 weeks, but I mean, we spent an entire day just doing the choirs on This God Is Dead at the beginning. because it's like over 100 layers of blindly, and it's like a 4-part like soprano, alto, tenor, bass type of thing, right? So
and you basically had to record like all layers there, right?
Yes. So
And
any
then,
layers that aren't me are David.
yeah.
Because I don't have a dude voice. But yeah, we recorded everything, and it took so long. And it was also just like a emotional marathon of like being put through the ringer, basically. Like at the end I felt like a drowned rat after a storm, like just washing, like barely crawling out of the sewer, like, oh, I made it.
Well, I guess if that's how you feel on the other side when you've made something, then you've actually really made something. And
Yes,
that's
I
actually
think
what
so.
This God Is Dead feels like to me. It's easily the best Spires song ever written. It's I'm sorry, I'm fangirling.
Thanks. So I agree. That's, in my opinion, that's our best one, and that's my favorite one. I can't remember if you were there when I was telling this story, but at the well, good morning. While we were recording this, at the very end of that song, we have this, I will be your light and let me be your
Yes.
light always. And I was like, Jack was like, hey, what if instead of let me be your light, let me be your light, what if we have it, what if it's I will be your light, let me be your light always, and you have Roy sing it. And I was like, no, that's cheesy. We're not going to do that. All right, I'll humor you. Like, I'll just try it. And so we tried it. Like, I just recorded it as a placeholder. And then I was like, oh my God, no, we have to keep it. I was like literally like sobbing uncontrollably like a child. I don't know why. That like touched me so like profoundly, but it really did. And I definitely, I was a little embarrassed.
The reason why it would touch me profoundly is because at the beginning you have let me be your light. So there it's kind of, you want to be something good. You want things to be right, kind of. And when you say I will be your light, it's like now things really are good. So something like that. And that I think that's also why this song feels like a tipping point to me, because it starts with blindly across the sea, which is kind of like I'm lost, but it has kind of this dark tone. And then when it lands back into blindly across the sea, it's majestic. So the way I interpret that is, the thing is the same, but I've changed so that at the beginning I hated it, and now I'm accepting it and doing the best I can to live happy with it, or something like
that. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I watched your reaction and analysis for this song, and you were spot on.
I don't know why I actually figured it out, because I wasn't sure of most of what I was saying, but I think it's partly because I knew kind of what your motifs are a bit, and I didn't get the lyrics, but it was just kind of the emotional flow of it kind of moving up, and especially the part when it goes from the black metal part, I don't remember the title now, back into blindly across the sea. That feels to me kind of like there's this tunnel of dread that's shrinking, and it's closing in on you, and you kind of leap out at the last minute and take a breath or something like that. So that's kind of why I said you crawl out of hell, because it's where, yeah, it all lightens up. Anyway, you mentioned Roy Khan, and that leads me into my next topic, which is, you never had guests on albums before. You had 3 guests on this one. So what made you decide you wanted to have guests showing up on this album?
All right, I'm going to be honest here. I always wanted to have lots of guests. I like having guests. I don't know, it's just a thing. I saw, like, when I was first getting into more like melodic metal and stuff, I saw like a band like Avantasia had like 100 bajillion singers. I saw a band like Camelot had like their main singer, and then they had a couple of like backing singers, or like on One Cold Winter's Night, they have actual backing, like 2 or 3 backing singers, and then they have like, you know, some more like guest type of singers. So I always wanted to do something like that. I think that's really cool. And and also like I'm an ex-theater kid, so I miss doing duets and stuff like that. But I think every time we work on an album, I like talk to Jack and I'm like, yo, this would be sick if we asked like so and so to do it with me, and then he would be like, yeah, or he'd be like, nah. So it just never really worked out. And also like the people that I wanted to have on our records, like I wasn't ever really at a point where I could, how can I say, I didn't have the clout to ask these people and have them take me seriously. The clout, like it would be like nobody knew who I was, basically. So like trying to ask somebody like Roy, it was a kind of out of reach at the like previously. And I mean, I don't know if it really was, but it certainly felt that way. And it honestly, somebody like that still felt a little bit like, okay, there's no way that this is gonna work, but we're just gonna try.
It did work though.
It did work. I'm a big fan of just send the email, and the worst they can do is reply or not reply, or they reply and say no. So like no one's gonna die.
Yeah.
But it all worked out.
Yeah, specifically Roy Khan then, because I know you're a big fan. What was it like for you having him on the album?
Honestly, like not to be gross, but it was super validating.
I don't see why that would be gross.
I don't know. It was I'm trying to like, if you ever get to like, if you specialize in a field and you get to work with like your idol in that field, I can't equate it any other way. It was just like, wow.
It's
the only cooler thing would have been like if I got to like write with him and Sasha at the same time, because that's like one of my favorite like writing teams.
Yeah.
Big fan of like the Roy Sasha writing vibe. I learned so much just from learning. I learned so much from learning. I learned so much from listening to that. A lot of my sense of melody and like taste of lyrics, the way I want to talk about certain things. For example, in a lot of like old Camelot stuff, there is talk about like earthly things, but it's never like, they never wrote about it in a way that's like I'm up in the club and I'm trying to fuck, you know. It's always written in like, it's always written in this really beautiful, poetic, kind of melancholy, kind of like, hey, but it's really beautifully done, and I learned a lot from listening to that. So that would have been the only other thing that I wish I could have done. But I am so happy, and I won't ask for more.
Well, yeah, like that really is amazing. I mean, if he's one of your idols, then it's probably like the ultimate validation that you can get that what you're doing is actually right, is that he was actually interested in. Dude,
fucking Roy Khan singing I'm Proud of You. I mean, come on.
Yeah, though. Yeah. I mean,
thanks, Dad.
Okay. So from guests, I want to go a bit into videos now. So previous Spires videos, it was the band. This time around, you also had other people in the videos. What drove that decision? And was like the recording experience different, particularly in Lightbringer, having that whole pile of awesome whoever those people are?
Yeah, I'm not really sure why. I think, okay, so again, I always wanted to have extras and tell more of a story, but like we didn't have the time or the budget, and that's just how it was. I also always wanted to shoot in a castle, but again, didn't have the budget. But the COVID thing, like it was horrible. It still is horrible. But logistically, that really worked in our favor because everyone that was in the videos was working from home, and everyone was like, yo, I want to see friends. I want to do something fun. Let's all get tested and then film a music video. Like, yes,
yeah,
please, fuck. Why did we have so many people? it makes sense in the story. I also thought like, I don't know, it just seemed like fun. I just wanted to. And like, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's really fun to tell more of a story that way. Yeah, sorry, I don't have a better answer, but
I think it's a really good answer. And honestly, I think I wanted to is probably the best answer you could get, especially since I think most of us just feel guilty about wanting things. And I think that's stupid.
Dude, that's such a thing. Oh my God. Okay. We don't have to get into that. Damn.
Yeah. Zarin, the dancer, she showed up in the Windmill comments, and she's been there a lot, and she's been giving suggestions, and she even donated to us. And that was one of the sweetest things that happened to me lately.
That's so nice. Zarin is like such a wonderful soul.
Yeah.
She's really great. I met her at a festival in Atlanta. She's like super into like Devin Townsend and stuff, other stuff too, but she's really awesome. And when I asked her to be in the video, she was like, "What? I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm afraid I would be too like derpy. Why did you ask me?" I'm like, "Zarin, you're a good person. You treat me like a human. You don't like, you're just a good person, and you've always supported me. And you've never asked anything of me. You've never tried to take anything from me. Like, I just really like you." And she was like, "All right, man," and it was really nice. Actually, that was a thing that was great about come on, brain. Oh my God. That was a thing that was great about that video shoot, is they were all like, none of them were like random ass models, or like, it wasn't like a dance troupe that we hired. They were all our friends. It's not every single one of our friends, but all of them were friends of ours. And like, they were handpicked people by me to be part of it. So it was really special, and the vibe was really good. And yeah, it was like no like gross drama, and like, yeah.
That's actually where I was hoping this was gonna lead, because just looking at the videos, Lightbringer and the Unforgotten Name specifically, it has that vibe. It looks like you're friends. It's not just a bunch of people. Like, I think you can see it just in the video, the kind of connection and the vibe and all that.
Yeah. I also thought it was important to like, I don't know, show like real people. I mean, granted, they're all beautiful people. Great. But like, I don't want to have a bunch of fucking models. Like, everyone else does that, and that's great. But like, our art has always been about being so fucking raw and honest and human. And I want to have real people in our videos. I want to have people I care about in our videos, because I write what I care about. So yeah.
Yeah, that comes through. I absolutely love that. That's basically the essence of what makes Spires special, I think, about everything. I agree. So about working with people, I obviously have to ask you about your fabulous band members, particularly Dovas, because that dude gave me a lot of neck injury. From what I get, you and Jack kind of lead the way in terms of where the album's gonna go, where the music's gonna go, and then Pete and Chris work more on their parts. Is that right?
That's how it's been, yeah. I don't know if that will continue. We're always like evolving a little bit, but like the writing is, I don't know, Jack and I have something like kind of special, I think.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time working on music, and just trying to, I don't know. It was, here's the thing. Okay. So I know he and I both know that we're pretty good at what we do together. Yeah. But we were just like working on a song for fun with somebody else. Mm-hmm. And somebody else was like, had a couple of ideas. Jack was producing, and I was like kind of arranging and making suggestions and writing a top line. And I was like, just in my head while we were working, I was like, damn, we're really fucking good at this. What the fuck? Like, yeah. Because there's no frame of reference. Like when we work, it's just us in a room, and there's like nobody's there. Nobody's like witnessing us being fucking geniuses. You know what I mean? Like, so I just like, there's sometimes I don't know how far we've come since like something like 2014 when we were working on Solvay. There's no way to know how far we've come with that until like someone else is there and we can not compare ourselves, but just have like another point of reference.
Because I guess you've been evolving gradually, and then whoever hears what you're doing that hasn't heard anything in like a while is just struck by the difference.
I mean, I was struck by the difference between us versus us plus not us. It was wild. It was super weird. But yeah, so Jack and I will usually like work on stuff, and then Pete and Chris are so good at their instruments, and I'm like, oh, bass go da, 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 da. So I rarely make attempts. Occasionally I'll be like, all right, I have like an E bass line that I really like. So in Lightbringer, in the chorus, Lady Lightbringer, Lady Lightbringer, there's like an E bass part that goes dun 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 dun, something like that. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave this in. You can follow it or you can dance around it. So Pete like did some cool stuff. He was, I think, probably like inspired by it a little bit, but it's a more of like a subtype of bass. So it's mostly just like laying foundations of like you feel and then you don't feel it. So it's more for the ass shaking quality, and then Pete's like, I'm very good at my instrument.
Honestly, I feel like as soon as the first bass line kicks in Lightbringer, that's when the ass shaking starts. Like,
I agree.
And go.
Red lips like she wants a bite. Don't hold your breath. His hands are tight.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, fantastic guy.
Okay, probably last thing I want to get into was mentioned pretty much at the beginning. At the beginning of this year, you decided to start a Patreon. What drove this decision?
Yeah, why did I do this? I mean, I can't lie, like financial instability was a part of it. All of my income came from touring previously. Guess what I'm not doing right now?
Yeah.
And I really didn't expect a lot of people, and I didn't expect like the kind of support. I really felt like I was connecting with people on social media, but it was exhausting, and I had to deal with a lot of like rude people too, or like people that would try to take too much from me that I wasn't willing to give. So, and I think I think it was also because I wanted to do like YouTube arrangements of stuff, which you have also reacted to. Thanks. And I just wanted to like, you know, maybe I get a couple people so I could get like a little bit of money from that, and that would be cool. Now it's my job. Thank you. Thank you very much for making that my job. Yeah. I don't really know why I started. I had like this gut feeling basically, and the reasons that I gave previously were like kind of related. Yeah. I'm really glad I did though. It turned out to be like a super positive thing.
Yeah, so for me, it's like it felt like a community since day one joining there. I'm really, 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 really socially anxious. So like unless I know someone, I don't really feel okay talking to them. I've had ups and downs. It's weird. But like what was really cool for me at first was I could join those gaming sessions and like just play. And if I'm terrified and I can't say anything for the whole hour, I won't say anything for the whole hour, and I'll just be there and I'll take it from there. And I think it was the perfect possible environment for me to like work on that, I guess.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah. So
I'm glad that helped you.
It did.
Those game sessions are super fun. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I know what it's like. You get a thing in your head and it bites. But like, yeah, for me, it's I step in there and it's the one time where I actually let go of things other than listening to music, probably, because it's like, you know, whenever I'm doing anything that's supposed to be relaxing, there's a voice in my head that can tell me there's something more important I should rather be doing. So I can't feel at ease. And then I walk in there, and no voice will ever convince me that something's more important than hanging out with you. So yeah,
That's nice.
That's
Thanks,
great.
man. I have a similar thing. My brain is like, you need to work so that you can earn the resources that are spent on you.
Yeah.
Or you need to, I struggle with the whole like having inherent value and believing it thing. But yeah, when I go and hang out in that Discord server, it's like my brain also shuts up basically, and it's really peaceful, and I don't have that in very many places at all. So it's been really helpful for me too in that regard. It's so like the whole Patreon thing has been so fulfilling beyond just like the financial stability. Like it's been really good for my mental health as well, and just the community building. It's like, yeah, it's a super positive force in my everyday.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a lot of wholesome cheese. If you were to give one suggestion for a reaction to the wind, only one, which would it be? It can't be something you worked on.
Cannot?
Can't.
Okay, I wasn't going to suggest any of that anyway, because you've already reacted to all of it. Okay, who should you react to?
I hope it's not something I already know, because I know a lot of things.
I mean, I would say anything from OK Goodnight.
That's Casey's band, right?
Yep, yeah. They're also a bunch of Berkeley nerds like us. They're really, really cool. And Casey's a wonderful person. I don't really know the others, but I think Pete also manages them now. Yeah, I would recommend some OK Goodnight. Maybe a live video or something, if you can find a good one. Maybe from like Casey's senior recital or something. Or have you done Threads of Fate?
I listened to the whole EP like a while back, probably more than a year. So if my brother hasn't heard it, that would be something that we could classify as a first reaction. But if he's also heard it, I don't think I'd go for that.
When the new album is out, then you should do that.
Definitely.
It's really good.
Also, the new Dovas album, I'm already aiming at that one as well.
Oh yeah, you should. Well, I worked on that, so I couldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Okay.
This was super, super cool. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I would like to express my gratitude, but no words could ever be enough.
No words will ever be enough.
Thank you, Adrienne, very much for your time. To everyone watching, if you enjoyed this interview, we greatly appreciate the likes and shares. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe with bells on.
Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed your stay. Come back to the Windmill very soon. Corpses out.